Hi everyone, this is Emma and Zorric, hosts of the Date Podcast. We're excited to do another show for you. So here are a few topics that we want to talk about today. So 11 brutally honest phases that you go through when you're single and swiping. So what do you do if you become discouraged when you're online dating?
Drink.
Well, we're going to give you other suggestions. And then what do you do if you've been ghosted? How do you manage the rejection?
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll figure it out. But first, we'd like to ask for your help. We're a brand new podcast that's now available on iTunes and Google Play. If you like what you hear, subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Tell your friends about your podcast. We appreciate any feedback and support, and you can email us any questions, comments, or topics that you want to listen on hello@datepodcast.com, or you can find us on @datepodcast on Instagram and Twitter.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
So
hey, Zorric, have you heard about the new royal baby? Do you follow the royals of England?
Do I follow the royal stuff? Of course not.
Right, you're not obsessed?
No.
I share a birthday with the Queen sometimes.
Oh, which Queen? There's lots of queens.
Queen Elizabeth.
Queen Latifah.
Queen Elizabeth and I sometimes share birthdays.
Okay. Sometimes you can only have like one birthday. So how do you sometimes?
So she actually has 2 birthdays, but that's not what I want to talk about.
Wait a second. You're blowing my mind right now.
So yeah, she has 2 birthdays. She has her actual birthday, which is in April, and then she also celebrates her birthday in June. So there are times when I've been to London and all of London is decorated. All the streets are like beautifully done. And since I go in June for my birthday, I like to just imagine that the city of London put up those decorations for me.
For you,
yes.
for Emma. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, so Prince William, who is Queen Elizabeth's grandson, is married to Kate Middleton. They are the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and they just had their 3rd baby this past week.
Oh, 3 is a charm, huh?
Yes.
So is there a name, or is it a boy, girl?
It's a boy. They haven't announced the name yet. So what they do is they hold off to announce the name, and they make it a royal proclamation. So it's really exciting.
You know, if I was a baby and I popped out, I'd be like, hey, what's my name? I don't even know my name yet.
Well, so what they do is they have to inform Queen Elizabeth of the name, and I believe that she has to approve of it.
Oh. What if it's denied?
Then they have to go with a backup plan because the Queen has to approve it.
There's too much power. Oh
I love it.
Okay. I do too. It's interesting. I like history. History
is a lot of fun.
It's cool.
But hey, we're not all royals. You know, some of us unfortunately aren't married to princess. So, you know, we're stuck kind of dating the old-fashioned way.
Well, I think he will be your prince or your king.
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
So so these are like 11 honest phases that we all go through. And these are all things that we've experienced.
Yeah. So 11. So here it is. So 11 brutally honest phases you go through when you're single and swiping, right? So if you're single,
yes,
and you're just jumping on the horse, these are the things that you go through. These feelings, these phases.
Yeah, you start off, very optimistic. Like, yes, I'm gonna find someone. I'm gonna find the love of my life. I'm gonna find my Prince William to my Kate Middleton.
So that's number 1. So the first one is just enough optimism to get you started. So get you started. So maybe you just not just divorced. I hope you don't jump into something right after your divorce or a breakup, but you had some time to kind of settle down and kind of go through all the phases of grief, right, and all of that. But yeah, so you'll be optimistic.
You'll be optimistic, which leads to the second phase of like you're constantly curiously swiping. So because you're so optimistic, you're, swiping left or right, trying to find your matches. But eventually, like, that will end.
Yeah. Just realize, everyone, you'll get faster. So you look at all the pictures, and then you read the bios, but I think eventually you kind of figure out what you like, and then you just kind of power through all that stuff. So number 3 is you do match, and you get nervous.
Yes.
Right.
Because what happens if you message first? Or what happens, like, how do I respond to his message first?
Mm-hmm. So the article says, if you find yourself wondering, why am I even bothering with this? Then you're in this phase number 3.
That was me this past week.
Like, what the hell? What am I doing on this?
I matched with a bunch of people, or matched with a bunch of guys, messaged all of them. And I think out of all the matches that I had, I got one message back. All the other conversations were unmatched or deleted. And so I very much went to like, okay, so what is the purpose of this again? Like, why am I putting myself out here?
So Emma is in phase 3 at the moment. And I bet she had a lot of phase 4, which is a whole lot of eye rolling.
I was doing that too.
So on top of, I think phase 3 was the bad pickup lines you start receiving, but phase 4 is the uncontrollable sighing, eye-rolling laughter that turns into disappointment, and you're like, ugh, again, why am I here?
Like my catchphrase, actually.
Yeah.
Is just screaming, ugh, all the time.
Like, when does that happen? Like, after the message sent?
It happens after the message is sent. It's happening while I'm swiping. It's happening when I realize it's deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But phase number 5 is when you match with somebody cool. You're like, oh my gosh, this guy is really, or this gal is really cool.
Yeah.
And then there is hope in the world.
There's optimism again.
Oh my gosh.
The world is beautifully colored once again.
It is. And this is especially, it's this whenever they ask you out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, finally, like, is this the end of my online dating journey?
Yeah. Could this be the one? Oh my gosh. And then you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm past phase 4. I'm on phase 5. So, but number 6 is the tough reminder. And this is really sad. We'll talk about this later. But ghosting is still a thing, which is terrible. It
is terrible. And it is annoying and frustrating. Ghosting is when you stop texting the other person or stop responding to them.
Disappear like Casper.
Yeah, you disappear.
Yeah. So, it's the ups and downs. So phase 5 was like a high, and then phase 6 was like a low.
Yeah, I'm noticing a trend here.
Yeah.
So far, there's a high and low trend.
There is, and then it just keeps getting lower because you start deleting those apps like no other.
I'm not there yet. I thought about it. Mm-hmm. I considered it for a few minutes.
Yeah. So this is what's happening. So you're like, crap, these apps really suck. I'm gonna mash my finger on the Bumble icon until my finger goes through the phone and whatever, and I delete the app. But then in phase 8, you're like, I need to find somebody in real IRL.
Yeah.
In real life, and you try, but you find out, oh, this is the same thing as dating online. You got to put your best self forward. You got to have small talk, just like you small talk on the apps.
Yes.
You got to hope this conversation turns into a date, blah, blah, blah.
The only difference is that I had to put real clothes on to go out.
The only difference. You got to do your hair. You got to do your nails.
You still have to go through awkward conversations.
Same
You still got to ghost them in the bar. You got to dodge them.
That's so mean. How dare you? Don't do that.
I haven't done that in a very long time.
Okay. As long as it wasn't during putt-putt, because I'd be like, you better stay and play every hole with me because we're going to stay. Anyways.
Excuse me. I need to use the restroom. Yeah. All right. Bye.
And then I'm playing by myself. Okay. So you've deleted the app, but then you tried in real life dating. And then you're like, in real life dating sucks. So now I'm back on the apps. Yes. Here I am swiping during Netflix. I'm swiping during all this stuff. And
it's so funny because I have a friend who we've had on the show, Janon. And she admits that she will start downloading apps again when I tell her that I'm downloading apps again. And I, most of the time, will do it whenever, so my other best friend, Gloria, she won't care if I say her name.
Estefan.
No. She'll tell me she's on a dating app. So then I'll also download it just, for curiosity's sake. And then I go through my phases and delete them again.
See?
Yeah.
You see, you should have read this article a long time ago.
Should have read it a long time ago.
Yep.
I can definitely relate to all of it.
So again, this says, before you know it, you're in phase 9, swiping. But in phase 10, hopefully there's a little luck.
Hey,
Yeah, and you find somebody. And
it can be on the dating app or it can be in real life, because I still believe in the power of the meet cues. I still believe in the power of meeting someone in person.
What is it?
A meet cue is a movie term. I'm sure. Mm-hmm.
That's like at Central Market when I'm waiting for like pork or something.
And so it's how they meet. It's how the two characters meet, and so that's a meet cue.
Oh, I didn't know you were such the movie
I
star.
learned that from The Holiday.
I've seen that movie.
They talk about a meet cute.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. It's Jack Black's character and Kate Winslet. Yes.
So. Didn't they date in the movie?
Yes, they did date in the movie.
Yeah. So phase 10. So hopefully at this time you'll strike it. You'll hit the lottery.
Woohoo.
You'll be making plans for a first date with somebody that you're super excited with. And then phase 11, you go on the date.
And you make plans for a second one.
Bam.
Wow.
It works.
And it worked. And then it could go good or bad. You could continue going on the third date.
Wait, but where's this face? Ghosting face. You're like, oh no. I'm back in the ghosting phase.
No, I'm joking. Hey, going through these phases works out like for you at this point, because you go on the second date and hopefully you are finding someone that you have great chemistry with and that you get along with.
And I think what we're finding here is that they're not in chronological order.
No.
So you can go from 11 to like 4.
I don't think these are linear at all, which is I like about them. But I do notice a trend that it's like either it's in the high or the low. There's no in between.
Yeah. Okay. So this was the 11 phases that you go through when you're single and swiping. So Emma, what is your takeaway here?
Giving yourself patience. I think we are in this world at the moment where everything is so quick and we want instant gratification. And I think that we forget that delayed gratification is also a good thing. You don't want to eat all your popcorn when the previews haven't even started, because then when the movie starts, you don't have any popcorn left. So it's about allowing yourself to not eat the popcorn at the beginning when the previews haven't even started, slowly eating them. That way you can enjoy your popcorn during the movie.
That was beautiful. And I think we'll end this segment with that.
Hi, everyone. This is Emma. I've recently found a dating app I've enjoyed using, Bopsy. Simply, it's video speed dating. Bopsy gives me the ability to meet 6 guys through live video. At the end of each session, I pick either C for like or bot for dislike. When we both like each other, we continue the connection over chat messaging. Check it out today at bopsy.com.
Hey everyone, this is Zorric, and I'm going to announce the winner of the Target gift card in just a few seconds. But first, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. And also, if you like what you hear, please give us a review on iTunes or Google Play. So now, the winner of the $50 Target gift card is Shenanza Bonanza. Shenanza Bonanza. Say that 10 times, but we'll be contacting you shortly.
Zorric, can you remind us what ghosting is again?
So ghosting is when, it could be at any time, I think. It could be when you're chatting somebody up for a week and you send some other follow-up question and they're gone. Or it could be the first date and you thought you had the best date ever. Oh my gosh, we're going to the second date. I'm going to take her on an airplane. It's going to be like The Bachelorette. And she's gone. Or it's the third date and she's gone. So basically, it can happen at any time.
So Patrick Allen from livehacker.com has, he helps people figure out how to manage ghosting at least in this article. So he talks about like what you actually do when you've been ghosting. And he says, You do nothing. You went on a date and things didn't click. Oh, well, move on. Which is great in theory, but I think that as humans, that's far from the thing that we want to do. Like, we want to do the opposite thing. Like, we want to find out like why we're being rejected. We find out like why we weren't good enough. We want to know what's going to make us worthy of another person.
Yeah. I think he's right, and I agree with what you say, because I think patience is a virtue. You just gotta.
Yes.
I think when you date, you should also keep yourself busy. You should have hobbies. Mm-hmm. Don't keep dating. I know, we all want to find that perfect match, but I think we all should also have a balance. We should have fun, have hobbies, hang out with your friends.
Yeah. I think that's one of my biggest pet peeves, in all honesty, is when people get in relationships and they forget that they have friends. Because my thing is like, what if this relationship doesn't last? You've burned those bridges. So, oh, well, like if someone's ghosting you, like, oh, well. And again, like, I know that's against what our brain wire tells us to do. However, I think it's going to be the most beneficial thing for us to do, to just be able to be okay with it and move on and get past it. I
think what happens too is you build a rapport with somebody, and you've shared some emotion. If it was a first date, you've shared time together. You may have kissed, you may have held hands, you may have talked about the future, you might have talked about your deepest, darkest secrets, and you're like, oh no, like she knows everything about me, and I thought we were connecting, I thought there was chemistry, and then nothing.
Yeah, and again, like when you're rejected, it makes you act in a very different way from like what your original character is.
Yeah.
So if you were rejected by someone else, like if your friend rejected you or ghosted you, didn't text you for days, you wouldn't text them like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
So if this is not something that you're going to do with your friends, I don't think you should do that anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think it also is scarcity, right? Or supply and demand.
Right.
So we're together, we're having fun, but then now she's kind of pulled away, and I'm wondering, where is she,
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Which I have ghosted, and I will admit, like, and I continue ghosting because I've already said what I needed to say, and this person's not getting the hint. Yeah. And I ghost because I'm not feeding into that cycle. Like, I'm refusing to be part of that narrative and that conversation. So I ghost to protect myself, not to be mean.
Yeah. So, but we think that it's better to have that conversation though,
and I've had.
And just say, hey, we're not a match, we're not a fit. But it's also so convenient just to stop talking to somebody.
It is so convenient.
And ignore somebody. And I think we've all done it. I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Right.
But it sucks when you're the one that's being ghosted.
Right. It does, because it makes you question everything. Like your sanity goes out the window.
And then you question everything on a date. Did she not feel a spark with me?
Right.
Right. And that's a question.
You wore a yellow shirt and she hates yellow.
Oh my gosh. Everyone loves mustard yellow shirts, but me.
Like Dwight Schrute?
But back to a spark. What is that to you? Like a spark?
I guess for me, it's kind of like getting the butterflies in the stomach, feeling a little bit of electricity, like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best way I can describe it. What about you?
I think it's when I sit down and I look somebody in the eye like, oh, okay, or I'm not like, oh, I'm like, oh,
They sounded the same, Zorric.
Oh, did it? Well, it's something that you can't you just feel. I think. And there's a lot of things that it goes through about reasons why, random reasons why, and some of these are kind of ridiculous, but random reasons why you were ghosted. Number one is you didn't look like your photo, which we talk about.
First of all, like, keep your profile updated.
Yeah.
That's on you then.
Yeah, 15-year-old photos or whatever. We've talked in previous episodes about how to choose the right photo, but
exactly.
But at least put something recent. Bad jokes. We always talk about bad jokes. Like, I love poop jokes, but Emma doesn't.
I do not. Please do not talk about your bodily functions around me or in mixed company.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of would be funny during... No, it wouldn't be funny during dinner. That'd be very inappropriate.
Please do not talk about it with me or in mixed company.
Oh. She just repeated the same thing.
Because I'm setting a boundary.
Yeah. And then there's other things like wrong sports teams. So if Emma, you're a Philly fan and I'm a Dallas fan, we wouldn't even be doing this podcast at this moment. It would be just fisticuffs.
I guess it's a good thing I'm not a Phillies fan.
Yeah. There's a lot. Like, what does this mean to you? Her friend told her that you look like someone she knew, but what does that matter? Why?
You know, I can definitely see that, like, not being something that hurts and hinders the situation, because it makes you question, like, how does my friend know you? What does that mean that it looks like someone that she knew? Like, what does she know about him? So it's sort of like the private detective inside you peeks out, and it's not good paranoia. I think it's more paranoia.
Okay. Because, you know, as long as it doesn't look like your friend's dad, I think it doesn't matter. For me.
But it could be like, maybe, you know, she thinks this might be the guy that, you know, I went to high school with and he was a jerk.
Oh, okay. Brings back memories.
Yeah.
I see. I think this is very plausible. So the article was written, the question was from a guy.
Right.
And they're trying to figure out why
the girl would have ghosted him.
But I think this is really plausible. So she realized she's not ready to date again.
Yeah, the other one is she's still in love with her ex, and you helped her realize that.
Yeah, and it goes back to the question, or the questions you ask in earlier, you know, conversation. You know, you ask, you know, how long have you been dating, or, you know, what happened in your last relationship. You don't have to get like deep in the weeds. But you can just ask these questions. Like, for example, if someone has been in a 3-year relationship and has been single for a month, like, that's a no-no. Yes. So, of course, this can happen. Definitely can happen.
It can, because, you know, they're not ready to date. They might be doing it out of spite, or because they think that that's the thing that they need to do now because they're single. I'm a big believer that, like, when you break up, I believe that you need to spend time with yourself and get to know yourself away from a relationship. Again, we're humans. You know, we enjoy the company of others. Even if we're introverts, you enjoy companionship, you enjoy camaraderie. However, you also need to be comfortable with yourself. Okay. And if you're not comfortable with yourself, you're not going to be, you cannot fulfill someone else. Being in a relationship does not mean you get to be completed. It means that you are now a partnership.
Yeah, and then if you bring your kind of, this may be negative, but like damaged self or hurt self or resentful self into a relationship, I think it could kind of mess up that partnership.
It does, yeah. It's because you're not filling a hole with another person. Like, you're creating a new relationship. This is a partnership.
Yeah. And I like this last reason here is she died.
Oh my gosh.
It can happen. It can happen. If you're an older couple.
Isn't there a movie about that? Wasn't there a movie made about that? Or they went on a date for the first time and something happened. I think there was a movie made about that, I promise.
Oh, was it with Channing Tatum?
No, because they were married.
Oh
no,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's been a movie. How he does note, Patrick does note that after a few days of waiting, you can send just one message to try to reconnect again. And you can say something like, "Hey, I had a really great time with you last week. Let me know if you want to do it again next time." And if there's no response, then it's game over. And then, you know, again, like, getting back out there and trying to connect with someone new. It's really like all you can do.
Yeah. And I think this would work if maybe maybe she needed a few more weeks or months to,
right.
And maybe you, instead of a few more days, maybe you wait a month or two.
What if she went to Europe? Like, you don't know.
Yeah. What if she like went to Mars? You don't know.
You don't know.
What if she had a baby? You don't know.
Oh. She had a baby on the first date.
I don't know. You never know. You can't assume.
You know what? There is that show, didn't know I was pregnant. So
there you go.
That could very well be true.
Yeah. So what's your takeaway, Emma?
You it's okay to get ghosted. It's okay if it happens. It sucks. I understand it sucks. I hate being ghosted. It happens. So it's just kind of coping with that, dealing with it.
Yeah.
Managing whatever feelings that you have, whatever emotions have risen up. What about you?
I would say you have to struggle.
Yep.
Dating there's like the first article, you got ups and downs, and it sucks. Ghosting sucks. It sucks when it hurts. You kind of question yourself.
Yep.
You feel inadequate. And I recommend just, whiten your teeth and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of more fish in the sea.
Lots of fish.
Lots of fish.
Yeah.
There's lots of varieties of fish.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. That's all we have for today. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, comments, or want to email us any topics, you can email us at hello@datepodcast.com. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at datepodcast. Zorric, what is your Instagram?
It is Zorric Sia on Instagram and Twitter.
Wonderful. And you can follow me on Instagram at its_Emma P.